y'all, and welcome to today's video. We are going to be testing out a new to me brand, Isamaya. I bought their new eyeshadow palette. Yes, I did. It's so expensive, but I bought a palette. I really want to try this brand, and I bought a lip gloss. We are going to swatch everything. We're just going to play with it, create an eye look, maybe wear one of these shades on the face, see if the hype for this brand is like well deserved or if it's more like overhyped. You know, we're going to test it, we're going to try it, we're going to play. Let's jump into it. Okay, y'all, so I bought the new Isamaya Industrial 2 color palette. I don't like the packaging right away. Do you see how big this is and bulky? It's like this woman on the front, but the color story of this palette, it drew me in, y'all. It drew me in. I am really intrigued by this brand. I have seen so many creators really love Isamaya's first palette. So when I saw this part 2 or 2.0 palette launch, I spent the $115 and bought this palette. It's so expensive. I really hope it's worth it. We will decide that at the end of the video after we play with the palette. Now, I have not swatched this palette yet, but I do want to go ahead and show you close-up and swatches. So I'm going to insert those for you now, and I will say that Isamaya says this is 14 richly pigmented iridescent eyeshadow shades, velvety metallics, crystalline pearl, and I think you can see the shifts kind of in the mirror. That's why I tried to show you like those images. And they do look very sparkly. They do look very colorful and pretty when I'm seeing this in person. I do like that we have this nice mirror in here. Even though this bulky packaging isn't like my personal favorite, I will say it does feel pretty heavy and luxe. So I like that, but we'll see. For $115, as much as I love indie, duochrome, multichrome, iridescent shades, we'll see how this palette is. I just wanted to have fun first, go ahead and show you the swatches so you could see, like, you know, because I want to put it on the eyes. I want to test it out. But while I was on the site, I went ahead because the brand launched 2 new lip glosses. So this is the Liplacq 2.0 Maximizing Lip Serum. And it looks like this glittery, sparkly gloss. So I bought, is the shade 2.0? I will put the shade down below if that's not the shade, but it's the silvery one. So I do have a lip oil on right now to kind of hydrate my lips. I'm going to put this on by itself. I'm going to wipe the lip oil on. We'll put this on by itself. And then I'll probably take it off, put on a lip liner or something, because I usually use gloss with a lip liner or with another lip color. But let me wipe off this lip oil and we'll try the gloss on. The gloss was expensive as well. $38. $38. I feel like that's a lot, but let's see if it's worth it. Okay, so I wiped off the lip oil. I have no product on my lip. Let's try this gloss. I want to see how this looks on its own. Oh, that's a lot of sparkle. Okay. I'm glad because I've definitely bought sparkly lip glosses before. And it's been like clear with barely a touch of sparkle. So I was hoping for this price point that we would actually get some shimmery goodness. Alright, so here's what the lip gloss looks like on its own. Very silvery, sparkly. I don't really feel any of the glitter. It doesn't feel super gritty or anything. Okay, so here's the gloss. I am going to take this off and put down a lip liner, and then I'll go back in with this gloss. I like a lip liner. I like to kind of just define my lips, and I want a little color underneath this silver. but this is what the gloss looks like. Very sparkly and pretty. Okay, so I just lined my lips and then kind of quickly filled them in with my ColourPop Lippie pencil. This is in the shade Grunge, and then I went on with the lip gloss. My lips do look really pretty. I really think this gloss is beautiful. Do you need to spend $38 on a sparkly gloss? No. What do we really need? We don't need this. But I will say, I think it's really nice. I do think it's a really nice gloss, and I'll keep using it. I'll keep using it. But I thought we would try one of these shades as a face highlighter. So I do have on my Fenty bronzer, my Fenty Beauty, just the powder bronzer, Sun Stalk'r Instant Warmth Bronzer in Caramel Cutie. And then for blush, I have on P.Louise, The Cheek of It Flirty Flush of Color Liquid Blush in the shade Legally Pink. And I did not put on a highlight because I thought that, well, I really thought several of these shades would be a good highlighter. This one is maybe a little too pigmented. That's the one I was kind of envisioning at first. But this one could also be a really pretty, maybe like just sparkly highlighter. I'm thinking about, I think it's Twilight from Unearthly. That's kind of this like sparkly shade, like Fenty Beauty, How Many Carats? Let's try this more pinky shade on the cheeks. And if it's too much, I'll kind of try to buff it in and we'll go on with this one. Okay, I'm gonna grab a small but fluffy brush so I can get in that pan. This is a Sigma E61, and let's try. I'm just gonna lightly tap in and we'll see how that looks as a face highlight. Okay, I think that's pretty. I'm just gonna spend a little time blending, but I definitely think if you're wearing like a pinky or purpley, some type of like cool toned blush, this will be a pretty either blush topper or highlight. But it is like, the formula is thicker like an eyeshadow, not a highlighter, so I would just say be careful, but it definitely works that way. It is an eyeshadow. Like, I can tell it's a little bit thicker on the skin, so I probably won't do this again, but I definitely could. Like, it looks nice as a highlighter. That looks all right. That looks all right. Okay, let me add in just a little bit of that sparkle kind of topper. And there, that kind of diffuses it a little bit and just adds a little more glow. Definitely has the same feel as the Unearthly, like, or Fenty, kind of that sparkle, but not as nice in texture for the face. So let's move on to eyes. I'm gonna zoom y'all in nice and close. I'm going to prime my eyes for shadow, and we're gonna see how these perform. Okay, so this is a palette that does not have any matte shades. It's supposed to be all iridescent, metallic, duochrome type of shades. I could definitely use this as a companion palette, mix it with palettes I have that have beautiful mattes, and I actually really think this would be beautiful mixed with my palette with Unearthly, the Resurgence palette, some of these tones. But instead of using another palette for mattes, we're just going to create a look with this palette. There look to be some really interesting formulas in here. So I am going to use this shade right here. Let me see, this like dark brown. It looks kind of, it almost looks like a satin to me. And then this shade looks kind of like the same formula, maybe more of like a less intense shimmer, something like that. So we're going to use this shade and this shade to start with, and I'm going to kind of put those in the crease. We'll start with that kind of purpley blue shade first. So I'm just making sure I don't have any creases in my eye primer because I don't want to go in with shadow on top of a creasy primer, because then I'm just going to set those creases in place. So what I'm gonna do is just put this kind of all right in here. So here's my socket, and then up like this. Once I have that shade on, I'm gonna take the darker brown color and I'm going to kind of press this right here into the crease on this outer part of my eye, but I'm going to kind of blend this up and out too. Not too far out, but I'm just going to keep it right there, just like I would like my second crease shade if I was doing a two-tone crease with mattes. And both of the brushes that I'm using are blinged brushes. I will link this palette, this gloss, and everything else I talk about, I will link down below in the description box. So definitely check there if you're curious. But so far, these shades look pretty. Are they anything crazy unique? Not so far. I mean, I will say I do have not just a large collection of palettes and shadows, but I do have a lot of indie shadows. I have a lot of, like I said, multi-chrome, duochrome, iridescent type shadows. And I just want to see, like, is this going to be something revolutionary, or is this going to be like a nice option for people that may be able to like get a hold of things easier from the Isamaya site, or I think this, yes, Selfridges is where this is sold. Maybe just a little easier to access, I don't know. But I'm just gonna keep blending like this. Okay, I think these shades are looking very pretty. I wanna go in now with something on the lower lash line. And this blue shade right here, this has a very like dry, kind of like flaky feel to it. It's this blue purple duochrome that I think is really pretty, and I thought about using that, but instead I think I'll go with this more like gray color. This one, it looks like it would have a little more texture to the shadow, but it's really this kind of like intense metallic gray. I don't know, like dirty gray color. I kind of like it. So I'm gonna pick this up and I'm gonna get it on my brush, and I'm actually gonna spray my brush with a little bit of setting spray, makeup mist, whatever you want to use, and I'm gonna press this into the lash line. Now this one, like when I put my brush in it, there's no powdery kick up. It's almost like it's a cream, which is weird because it doesn't feel super creamy. I mean, I don't know. That's really interesting texture. So I'm gonna spray my brush and then press this against the lower lash line. Okay, so I'm gonna take the brush and just press it right to the lower lash line. Let's see. Oh, I just stuck the end of my brush in the shadow. Dang it. Okay. Just like this. And then once I have it pressed down, then I'll kind of go and blend, and we'll see how this looks. All right, I think that looks okay. There's not a lot of dark shades in this palette, which I knew when I bought it, and that's like I wanted the colorful shades, but I think that looks nice. We could also kind of take what we did in the outer corner and put it under the lower lash line. That would be pretty, but I really want to play with several of the textures in here so I can get a feel for it. I mean, we used 2 on the cheeks. We've used 3 on the eyes. I would like to use a few more. So this shade right here, let me see if I can get it to capture in the mirror for you. It kind of is this like yellowy green to kind of like pinky shade. That looks really beautiful. I think that would be cool on the lid. We also have this shade, which is definitely like this white, blue, green, iridescent type of shade. Maybe we'll save this for the inner corner, but I definitely want to use this. We have this kind of blue-brown shift right here, but very light. There's definitely options for what we could do on the lid. Okay, let's do these two right here. The blue that shifts to purple and this yellow green that shifts to kind of a pinky gold. We'll do these two right here on the lid. And I kind of want to put down like a glitter primer, glitter adhesive, something sticky. So I'm going to put that on the lid. I'm going to leave the outer part of my lid this deep dark color, and we'll kind of pack those other two shades right on here. All right, I'm going to grab this shade right here. Again, I'm just using my blinged brushes, and I'm going to put this right on top of that sticky base. Now, I did look at the outer box on this Isamaya palette, and it did say that, like, apply it with your fingers, apply it with a brush, just like normal eyeshadow instructions. Just FYI. That's very, very pretty. That's a very pretty shade. Okay, I'm going to keep my eye kind of looking down as much as possible because I've still got that glitter primer on, and we're going to go in with this shade right here. I'm trying to see y'all while I still keep my eye looking down. Alright, so this is just going to go on the inner part of my lid. That is really, really pretty. Alright, let me just put it right there. I love shiny, shifty shadows. I think they're just so fun. But there are what those two shades are looking like. I definitely think the next time I play with this palette, I'm going to bring in some mattes because I feel like just a little bit of matte shadow out here in this outer portion would be really beautiful. But I'm having fun creating an all kind of shimmer, sparkle heavy look. Alright, I'm ready to go on with the inner corner shade. If you see a little bit of fallout, I don't care. I do not care about fallout. I can clean it up. It is not a big deal to me, but just in case you're seeing that and like, oh, Heather, why don't you talk about the fallout? It's because I don't care. So I want to highlight the inner corner with this shade, this kind of white, blue, green type of shade. I think that's going to be so pretty. So especially with this kind of blue, green, silvery, purpley look that I've got going on, I'm going to pick that shade up and just pop it right there on the inner corner, just like that. Very pretty, very ethereal eye look. Okay, I'm going to put on liner, mascara, maybe a little half lash. I'm gonna swatch the palette so I can look at the textures and all myself, collect my thoughts, and I will be back. We'll talk about this palette, what I think, all of that. All right, y'all, here is the finished look with the Isamaya Industrial 2 palette. Okay, let's talk about this palette. First of all, let me show you swatches that I took on my iPhone, just in different lighting. I tried to like get some different angles so that you can kind of see the textures of the shadows. All right, here is our color story. Now, several of the shadows in here, like this one and this one, do remind me of some like formulas from Pat McGrath. I overall feel like this palette is very pretty. It's very pretty. If you like sparkly shadows and you were thinking, I want to spend $115 on this palette, I think you'll like it. It's very pretty. It's a very pretty. Hear me when I say it is very pretty. I think all the textures in here are beautiful. I think the color story works well together. Like, I feel like this eye look I created is really, really beautiful. Like I said, for me, this will be more of a companion palette, just like my other all shimmer, all duochrome, all multi-chrome, all special shade palettes. I usually bring those in and pair them with matte shadows, other palettes. That's what this palette is going to be for me. But of course, today I just wanted to focus a look just on this palette. But in my collection, I do think I have shadows that would give me a similar look to these shadows. I definitely think some of these shades are a little more special than others. Like I said, this one and this one and, you know, this one, I feel like they give me Pat McGrath vibes. But all of that being said, I am happy with my purchase. I am excited that I got to try out this new to me brand, see if the hype was real. I know Robert Welsh really liked the first palette. That's kind of what like tipped me over the edge to try this new palette from the brand. Overall, I think this is really nice. I only used, I think, 8 shades, so I will keep playing with this and I will definitely follow up probably in a few weeks. But so far, I think it's a really nice, really pretty palette. I like this gloss. I was trying to think of what other glosses I had in my collection that were this sparkly that I could kind of compare for y'all. Now, I don't have a shade like this, but I do have a couple of glosses from Queen Cosmetics that are like basically just sparkle pigment, like shimmery, glittery type of glosses. I think this has a nicer, more glossy base than those from Queen Cosmetics. It does feel like very hydrating. It feels like a lip gloss. But is this formula, would I reach for this formula over my Pat McGrath Makes a Beautiful Sparkly Gloss, Lime Crime Wet Cherry glosses, or my all-time favorite sparkly gloss is Unearthly Cosmetics? Those definitely have a little more like base pigment, whereas this is a little less, I feel like. But I think I prefer those a bit more, although this is really beautiful. This is really beautiful. I like that this feels nice and comfortable on the lips and has a little sparkle. I'm definitely going to keep using this. But will I be jumping to spend $38 on a gloss for sparkle? I don't think so, because like I said, those other 3 brands that I mentioned do have beautiful sparkly lip gloss formulas. So there are my kind of first impression thoughts on the new things I bought from this Isamaya collection. I would love to know if you've tried these products. Like, did you buy these? Have you tried this brand before? Is this a brand you're interested in? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. Please do remember, my videos are never intended to convince you to buy anything. I like to give my thoughts on new products. I love reviewing new products. I love buying new makeup. But if you are on a low buy or no buy, I hope that you will shop your stash and maybe I could give you some inspiration. Maybe you're not into makeup, you're just hanging out. I'm so happy that you're here. Or maybe you are curious about this collection. I hope that you enjoyed hearing my kind of first impression thoughts, overall thoughts on the brand so far. I definitely do not regret my purchase, and I'm going to enjoy wearing my look today. I hope you're having a good day. Please do subscribe. I have so many videos planned, coming, everything. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you soon. Bye!